The smell of coffee and rain mixed in the air. That strange blend of warmth and loneliness that only happens in cafes where people wait for someone who might never come. Outside, the city was gray and heavy with drizzle, each drop racing down the wide glass windows like tiny, hurried stories of their own. Inside, the world was brighter, calmer, light wood tables, red booths, and the gentle hum of quiet conversations. But at that moment, everything in the room seemed to pause for one man standing at the door, a man who almost turned around and walked away before he heard the smallest voice stop him cold. If you believe in kindness, forgiveness, and second chances, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe, because this story will remind you why some goodbyes are never meant to last forever. He hadn't planned to walk into that cafe. In fact, he'd been avoiding it for years, but fate, or maybe guilt, has a way of leading people back to the places they least want to go. His name was Ryan, late 20s, quiet, with eyes that carried too many unsaid apologies. He had just left a job interview downtown when the rain caught him, pushing him into the first open door he could find. And there it was, that place. The same cafe where everything once ended. He hesitated near the door, brushing rain off his jacket, and glanced around the familiar room. The faint smell of roasted beans and vanilla syrup brought memories flooding back. Late-night conversations, laughter, promises made over cups of coffee that had long gone cold. He looked away quickly, trying to steady himself. He didn't believe in signs anymore, not since her, and then he saw her, sitting alone in a booth by the window, wearing that same light gray sweater she used to wear on chilly days, her hair tied back the way she always did when she wanted to hide her face from the world. Emily, the woman he once promised to fight for, the one he left when everything became too heavy. But it wasn't. Just her. Sitting across from her was a little boy, maybe 6 or 7, with messy curls and eyes that looked achingly familiar. Too familiar. The boy was stirring a tiny cup of cocoa, his feet swinging off the seat, completely unaware of how his presence had just cracked open the past for the man standing by the door. Ryan's breath caught. His heart pounded, confusion swirling with disbelief. He could have left, he should have, but his feet didn't move. His mind screamed at him to walk out, to escape before she looked up and saw him. Yet something deeper, something older, rooted him in place. Emily hadn't seen him yet. She sat quietly, staring at the cup in front of her, lost in thought, her face tired but still graceful, the kind of beauty that never faded, only softened. She looked like someone who'd learned to survive, but not without scars. Ryan's chest tightened. He knew he didn't deserve to know what her life had become. He had forfeited that right the day he walked away from it all. From her, from their home, from the future they'd once drawn in fragile dreams. The sound of the rain grew louder, tapping against the window like 1,000 whispers. Ryan turned slightly, ready to go. His hand reached for the door handle. One more second and he would have disappeared again, like a ghost passing through her world. But then he heard it. That voice. A soft, trembling, innocent voice. Please don't leave my mom. It wasn't loud. It wasn't even meant for the whole cafe to hear. But it landed in the air with the weight of everything Ryan had been running from. He froze. Slowly, he turned his head. The boy, her son, was looking right at him, his small hands gripping the edge of the table, eyes wide with something between fear and hope. Emily's head shot up, her gaze following her child's, and then their eyes met. For a long, unbearable moment, no one moved. The noise of the cafe faded. The world outside blurred. Only the three of them existed. The man who left, the woman who endured, and the child who unknowingly connected their broken timelines. Emily's lips parted slightly, her eyes glistening. Ryan could see the 1,000 things she wanted to say but couldn't. Anger, surprise, confusion, heartbreak. And in his silence, all he could give her was the truth that lived in his eyes. He never stopped thinking about her. He walked closer, each step feeling heavier than the last. He wasn't sure if he should speak, if she'd throw him out, if she'd turn away. But she didn't. She just looked at him, trying to hold back tears that had been waiting too long. He sat down slowly, across from them, the same spot he once used to occupy when life was simpler. He noticed the small details, how she still stirred her coffee twice before sipping, how her hands trembled slightly when she held the cup, and he saw how the boy, their boy, though he hadn't realized it yet, clutched that cocoa as if it was a secret. Ryan swallowed hard, his throat dry. Memories flooded back. That night they fought, the words he said, the way he walked out believing she'd be better off without him. He told himself she deserved stability, someone who wasn't haunted by his own failures. But all those years of pretending he'd done the right thing now felt like a lie. He wanted to speak, to explain, but Emily broke the silence first, her voice low, almost trembling, but steady. "You look different," she said quietly, not as an accusation, but as an observation carved by time. He nodded. "So do you." Her eyes flicked toward the boy, then back at him. There was no need for more words. He already knew. The boy's face said everything. The shape of his nose, the color of his eyes, reflections of the man who had once dreamed of holding a son someday. Ryan felt his breath hitch. The realization hit like a wave. He was the father. He blinked hard, trying to stay composed. The boy looked between them, sensing something he didn't fully understand. There was innocence in his expression, but also wisdom, as if he knew the moment he spoke, something might finally heal. Time seemed to stretch. The world outside continued, but inside that café, the three of them sat suspended between what was lost and what might still be found. Ryan's mind flooded with guilt, the years he missed, the birthdays he never knew, the moments he could never get back. He didn't expect forgiveness, but something in Emily's eyes, something weary yet kind, told him that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't too late. He offered a faint smile, the kind that carried apology without words. Emily looked down, her tears finally falling silently into her cup. The boy reached out, placing his small hand over hers, and for the first time in years, Ryan saw her truly break. He wanted to tell her he was sorry, not for leaving, but for being afraid to stay. He wanted to tell her about the nights he couldn't sleep, wondering if she'd moved on, if she was happy, if she ever forgave him. But he couldn't find the words. So instead, he did the only thing that felt right. He stayed. They talked quietly as the hours passed. Emily spoke of her struggles, raising her son alone, working late shifts, learning to be both mother and father. Ryan listened, his heart aching with every detail. He told her about the man he became, about how every success felt hollow without her. It wasn't dramatic or loud. It was the quiet kind of pain that makes people understand how fragile love really is. The boy smiled shyly when Ryan asked his name. "Ethan," he said. The name hit Ryan like sunlight, the name he and Emily had once dreamed of for their child. She had remembered. She had named him after their dream. As the rain outside slowed, the cafe grew quieter. The world started moving again. Emily looked at Ryan, and for the first time there wasn't anger, just exhaustion and a hint of warmth. Maybe forgiveness wasn't about forgetting. Maybe it was about seeing that someone was truly trying to be better. When they finally stood to leave, Emily hesitated. Ryan offered his hand to the boy. Ethan took it without fear, as if he already knew this man wasn't a stranger anymore. Emily watched them together, her eyes softening, the way she used to look at him when love was new. Outside, the clouds were breaking. A weak ray of sunlight cut through, spilling across the wet street. Ryan looked at Emily, unsure of what would happen next. She didn't say yes, didn't promise anything, but she didn't say goodbye either. She simply said, "Let's start with coffee." And for him, that was enough. Because sometimes love doesn't need grand gestures. Sometimes it just needs a quiet moment, a small voice, and the courage to stop walking away. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and share it. Your support helps us bring more real, emotional stories that remind people of love, forgiveness, and hope. Special request. Comment below what you would have done if you were in Ryan's place. Would you have walked away or stayed to face the past? He didn't know what the future held. Maybe it would take time, maybe it would hurt again. But as he looked at Emily and Ethan walking beside him through the sunlight after rain, he finally understood something he had forgotten long ago. Sometimes, the second chance you're afraid to ask for is the one that saves you. And that day, he didn't walk away. He finally came home,